Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family, to the tactical analytical review of Paris Saint-Germain versus Arsenal. As you can see right in front of me, I have Paris Saint-Germain's predicted lineup and Arsenal's predicted lineup. And we're going to look tactically, strictly at the first game at the Emirates, how the game is going to go. Obviously, what we've seen from Paris Saint-Germain under Luis Enrique in the away Champions League, 2 games versus Villa and Liverpool, it's slightly more conservative and very counter-attacking based. So the first thing we'll try to look at is if Arsenal have the ball. Paris Saint-Germain obviously like to sit in more of a 4-5-1 shape, having Dembele here. And the main question mark will be, will Paris Saint-Germain press high or not? Last time we did not press high. We let Raya, Saliba and Gabriel, who were the 2 centre-backs in that game, have the ball. And so many times they were able to find Partey in so much space. So let's say if Paris Saint-Germain are sitting more deeper, maybe in a potential double deep block, it would basically look like this: Dembele as the front man, and in a 4-5-1 flat shape defensively. So this is if Arsenal have the ball, trying to find the space. Maybe Martinelli here, maybe Skelly here, maybe Saka here, Timber here, Odegaard like the half space. Trossard will also be in the half space on the left. Got Merino, Rice, and then obviously Saliba and Kivior. So let's say maybe a little bit higher from PSG. Let's say it's looking like this. Fabian here, Vitinha, double coverage for the 2 centre-backs. Kivior, Saliba here. Sometimes what happens with Arsenal, obviously they turn into a 3 at the back, with Skelly inverting into midfield. Merino will probably push up. That's the thing. Rice, well, I'm predicting, again, I don't know too much, but I think Rice will be the deepest player, which means Merino will push up when Skelly inverts. Then Due will probably stay here if Hakimi needs help, so it doesn't become a 1v1 situation. And obviously Timber drops back. Saliba obviously in the center with the ball. You got Timber here, Kivior here. What happens then is obviously Kvara goes towards Timber, Dembele towards Saliba, and Due towards Kivior. And you have a lot of 1v1 matchups here. Neves on Skelly, Fabiano Rice, Vitinha on Merino. That's if Merino is going to be in this spot. Maybe Merino pushes up more and it's Odegaard that's more box to box in this game. So Merino basically with Trossard up top. And you can see a lot of 1v1 situations we have right here. Obviously Due will help out. Kvaratskhelia will help out. Fabian will help out. Neves will help out. But yeah, Martinelli, Hakimi. I mean, I'm calm with that. Hakimi will do a good job versus Martinelli, especially even if Martinelli goes past him. His final ball, his decision making in these areas is not the best. But obviously, this will be the matchup for me from Arsenal. Arsenal's, as I've compared them a bit to Liverpool, heavy reliance offensively on Saka. So Nuno has to do a great job. Like Saka will receive the ball a lot of times from Rice, from Timber, and whenever he receives it, we know Saka. There are 2 different types of wingers. Some wingers, go immediately. The other wingers, they're patient, they're waiting. Obviously, Nuno Mendes, very aggressive left back. He could go in with a lunge. Then Saka will, run into this space, and he loves to put a ball across the center here. Obviously, Merino will chuck in Trossard. That's the thing. Rice usually is in these areas, especially when Skelly inverts. Rice likes to push up, but I'm guessing that Rice is not going to be pushing up that much. This game is going to be more as an anchor, as a shield for Arsenal defensively. But yeah, Saka versus Nuno, for me, that's the matchup of the game. Nuno has to do his absolute best job, as we saw versus Mohamed Salah. Just lock him out. When it comes to Merino, even if he's going to push up, basically becoming a second striker alongside Trossard in some of these scenarios, I'm very confident in Pacho. Pacho's been incredible in the Champions League this season. Versus Haaland, versus Nunes, versus Jota, versus anyone he's facing the UCL. He's done a really great job. So I have no question marks about him on Merino. Marquinhos, though, we have to be honest with ourselves. He's the weakness in this Paris Saint-Germain defense. And Trossard could be a bit dangerous, because that's the with Trossard, basically a bit similar to Paris Saint-Germain. He's a false 9, so he's going to be dropping to these spaces. He's going to be dropping sometimes in midfield. Sometimes he's going to go and help out Saka, making a 2v1 versus Nuno. So Trossard, in my opinion, is going to be key for Arsenal as the false 9, basically us not marking him. So if Trossard is dropping to this space, Marquinhos is going to stay alone. It's going to be interesting what he has to do. But yeah, that's basically it when Arsenal have the ball. Again, I see maybe 10% of the game being like this when Paris Saint-Germain are just sitting back a bit, absorbing the pressure, and Arsenal having the ball. But let's say Arsenal have the ball from their goalkeeper. Then obviously I'm expecting very, very, very intense press from Paris Saint-Germain, as you know, we've seen in most UCL games for Paris Saint-Germain this season. Paris Saint-Germain obviously would like to press with a 4-man. So it's going to be Kvara on Timber, Dembele on Saliba. Sometimes Dembele goes on to Raya, and I think Fabian goes more to the centre-back. Doué takes Kivior, and Hakimi takes Skelly here. Marquinhos, he usually is here covering the space for Hakimi defensively, staying a bit close to Martinelli. Neves obviously pushing up, Vitinha pushing up, Nuno staying with Saka, and Pacho staying back. And as you can see, there's one open man that will be Merino, obviously, or it could be Odegaard if Merino is in this spot. So he will be the key for Arsenal to move out of the press. Trossard as well, with him being a false nine, he can drop to this space, overloaded with Arsenal players, or he can even drop to the same situation where Odegaard is. And that's going to be the best way for Arsenal to move out of the press. Yeah, so if sometimes Dembele sometimes is on Raya. If it's from a kickoff, then Fabian is just going to drop with Odegaard, and it's going to be like this. Raya, is he going to pass it to the two defenders? Like doing Dembele will be waiting. Timber here, Skelly here, Hakimi here. So basically, we're just waiting for them to play, and we've seen so many teams play against Paris Saint-Germain. Whenever we play this press, the opposition team usually goes for long balls. Luckily, there's not Havertz. Havertz usually wins a lot of aerial duels for Arsenal. Martinelli, Marquinhos, I'm confident. Marquinhos and Nuno Saka, I'm very confident in Nuno winning the aerial duels. Pacho, Trossard, I mean, it is obvious. So I'm expecting us to press in some moments, but when Arsenal have the ball from the kickoff, I don't know how intensely we will press. This one, we've usually seen it from Paris Saint-Germain at the Parc des Princes. So maybe we are a bit deeper. So maybe Hakimi goes here. Maybe Doué is just covering this space. Dembele covering the central space. And then obviously packing the midfield. I think that's going to be the key. We are willing to leave Martinelli in a 1v1 versus Hakimi and Nuno versus Saka. But it's basically going to be like this. Marquinhos slightly more aggressive, Pacho slightly more reserved, staying at the back. Marquinhos can maybe go into this spot, but yeah, maybe I think this will be the press we will do versus them. Basically staying and I don't know, it's like putting a knife between their defensive line and their midfield line. But yeah, we will definitely be more proactive and pressing more and doing more off the ball than we did in the first leg versus Arsenal or in the group stage game, may I say. Yeah, that's about it when Arsenal have the ball, I think. I just hope we press better. I hope we press higher. I've obviously highlighted the mistakes that we made in the first game. That obviously costed us the 2 goals. I'm not saying that's what lost, but I'm saying like those 2 mistakes came from the dead press that we had, which I've never seen from Paris Saint-Germain previously. But even at Anfield we pressed, even at Villa we pressed, so I'm expecting us to press definitely more than the first leg. Now let's take a look at when Paris Saint-Germain has the ball. And the first thing we have to talk about is obviously going out of the press, because that was the thing we struggled the most with in the previous game versus Arsenal. So, going to be Fabian more a bit higher up. Vitinha here, Neves here. All right. Martinelli obviously is going to press. That's the thing. I don't know if Arsenal press with a 4-man or a 3-man up in attack. Skelly going to be here. Saka's going to be on Nuno. Timber here. Yeah. Odegaard maybe pushes up. Or maybe it's Merino. That's the thing. I don't know. I still don't know who's going to be the box-to-box. Who's going to be the offensive 8. Trossard's maybe here. Merino on him. Rice. Yeah, Rice is going to be here. And then obviously Kivior and Saliba right here. Yeah, Vitinha is definitely not going to be more. Yeah, it's probably going to be Odegaard behind Vitinha. So Vitinha doesn't get the ball. Then Dona gives it to Pacho. And then Arsenal start pressing like this. You see closing off all of the space. Obviously, we saw the key goal we scored versus Liverpool. Pacho gives it to Nuno. And then Nuno with an incredible pass to Ousmane Dembele in this area right here. And once again, as we saw from Arsenal, Trossard and if Odegaard is the offensive 8 are going to be key for Arsenal moving out of the press. For Paris Saint-Germain is going to be Ousmane Dembele, obviously, receiving the ball in these spaces. And obviously, Saliba and Kivior will not be able to follow Dembele they follow, they leave the space, do it, and Kvara can invert. So that's the best thing with having a false nine. He can move around, and the center backs cannot really follow him. Kivior and Saliba will be trying to keep that center back partnership in deep. So whenever we, like, Arsenal will probably force us to give it to the fullbacks, but obviously, no, we are very good. Like, Hakimi can give it to Due here. Then Neves moves into the spot and Due makes the run. So it's going to be very tough. Moving out of Arsenal's press, they're going to make it very tough. Obviously, they have a lot of physicality as well. But Khvicha Kvaratskhelia instead of Barcola, hopefully he has a great game. We obviously saw so many times Nuno giving the ball to Kvara in this area, to Barcola in the first game, and Timber just locking up Barcola all the time. So hopefully Kvara can do better, because all Kvara has to do is take the touch, go inside, and then Dembele has started making the run. Due started making the run. Hakimi starts making the run from here as well. And as you can see, a lot of space in behind from Arsenal. So if Nuno can feed it to Kvara, if Kvara, as said, just can go inside with the ball, so many runners, and then obviously the entire team goes up as well. One thing I saw from Arsenal, though, in the first game, they're very good at recovering. So whenever we do get into this opportunity, it has to be one pass quickly. Because if not, as said, all the Arsenal players will be recovering. Obviously, the last thing we have to look at is the defensive shape. When Arsenal sit back, which we're going to be there. Merino, Rice, double pivot, Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left. I think it's going to be like a 4-4-2. Maybe it's Merino up top with Trossard like this. Due is going to be more of the half space. Hakim is going to hold the left. Nuno's going to hold the left, but a bit deeper. And Kvara is basically going to be here. He's going to be holding the touchline and also being inside at the same time. So basically putting him there. Fabian's going to be there. Ousmane Dembele is going to be right in front of the two center-backs. Obviously, we got to pack this a bit deeper. Yeah. Demonic deep block. Vitinha is going to be right here. Marquinhos is going to be there. Pacha is going to be there. You can even push up Dona a bit. So this is also going to be a key for us in this game. In this situation, obviously, I see a lot of moments where Arsenal will be sitting back. Obviously, they sat back. I remember some moments in the first half, but mostly after they got that 2-0 lead, which obviously cannot be happening here. We cannot go down 2-0. But if Arsenal is sitting back like this, we've seen it against other teams. All we got to do, Marquinhos to Neves, they're obviously going to make it very difficult in the central areas, but also having Saka helping out Timber, Martinelli helping out Saka, they're going to be very deep. Yeah, that's the showtime. That's the showtime. That's where Desire Due comes in. That's where Kvaratskhelia comes in. Obviously, Dembele will be rotating with Due. Sometimes we see Kvara here. Sometimes Dembele stays in the center. Due goes on the left. And then obviously the fullbacks of Achraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes from Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this tactical insight. We've looked at Arsenal with the ball, Paris Saint-Germain sitting deeper, pressing high. Same thing with Paris Saint-Germain. Set pieces obviously is gonna be key for Arsenal. Counterattacks is gonna be key for Paris Saint-Germain. And this is the Champions League. Champions League is all about moments, taking your moments offensively and making sure your opponent does not take their moment for you defensively. So Donnarumma got a bit big for Paris Saint-Germain. Raya got a bit big for Arsenal. Both are going to get chances against them. I hope Arsenal do not expect Paris Saint-Germain to be on the level that we were in the group stage or Real Madrid when they faced them, because Madrid barely did anything in that game. And there were many times where Arsenal left a lot of space in behind and Madrid just couldn't do it. Their midfielders not good enough, their fullbacks not good enough, and their attackers not performing well enough. That would be different with Paris Saint-Germain here. We have a point to prove. We have to go to the Emirates, win this game, so we can be a bit more comfortable at the back. But yeah. Huge game coming up. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any more questions regarding these tactics, because I feel like I've talked about every single thing. These are obviously both of the team's predicted lineups I'm expecting, but we'll get some more information until then. That's been it from boy PSG. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, and as usual, allez, Paris.